Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the 2024 World Chess Championship. It's halftime, baby. This is game number 7 out of a possible 14, and the score is tied 3-3 after 6 games. Gukesh has got the white pieces in game 7, and he has been putting some pressure with the white pieces when he plays an opening that's not e4. But we've had 2 French defenses, and everybody expected a big fight in this game. And oh my goodness, this was the best game of the match so far. Shout out to everybody, by the way, who's got early access to Chessly 2.0. That went out on December 1st. Plus subscribers and VIPs, you should have received emails. Feel free to let me know in the comment section here how you're enjoying it, or use the feedback. And for the rest of you, in 10 days, on December 13th, we go live. Oh my goodness, I am very, very, very excited to show you this game. This is a game to remember. This could be the most pivotal game of the World Chess Championship of 2024. So, Gukesh sits down at the board and plays knight f3. Now, we saw Ding play knight f3. He then played e3 and b3. Knight f3 from Gukesh is a big deal. We have d5, and here Ding played this setup with a kind of a Nimzo-Larsen approach, but Gukesh plays a pure ready. Knight f3, g3, trying to go for bishop g2 and castle before committing one of these 2 pawns. Now, chess is a fascinating game for 99% of us. But at the highest level of the game, chess has almost been solved to some capacity. Not the entire game, as you're about to see in this game, but people know meta systems all the time. It has been well agreed upon and studied that the best way to meet this position with black is to do the exact same thing as white, because the existence of the bishop on g7 threatens black to take the entire center. And now white has to go here, and you get a position of total symmetry. So this is basically what happens, right? Ding is a smart man. He plays g6. But what's crazy is that he froze for like 30 seconds after the move knight f3 happened. He didn't even write his move down. Like, if any of you watch chess, you write the move down. He stared at the board for 30 seconds in disbelief that knight f3 occurred. So, yeah, fascinating. And it might just be the fact that Gukesh has literally never played this move, right? So, g3, g6, we do get the symmetrical pawn structure that I just described. This is basically the best thing that black can get. I actually played a game in this system in my tournament in Italy against my opponent was from Albania, Clendi Zanelli, if any of you have been following my Road to Grandmaster series. And this is a very solid setup by black. It's very annoying here with white how to play. Very, very annoying. White sometimes just takes creating a totally symmetrical position, and white relies on the fact that, like, they go first, so they jump in and try to break the symmetry. There's also other meta systems, like white can play a4, a5. That's actually what I played in Italy. So I've studied this position a little bit. And there's another system here with white, which is knight to c3, giving up the pawn on c4, taking the center, allowing black to go b5. Magnus Carlsen himself has played this position. I'm going to ask him about it. We have our recaps as well. Gukesh here plays a move which I believe is like the 18th most popular move in the position. There have been 17 moves played here by white, something completely ridiculous. And he plays rook e1. It's actually a very deep move. It doesn't look like it does much. But essentially, you want to play e4 when white takes your pawn on c4. And sort of like, what does black do now? If black develops the bishop, white gets to go queen b3, targeting the pawn. Simplified. I'm simplifying it, right? If black develops the knight, well, why'd you do that? You blocked your bishop. So Ding here, like he does in basically every game at some point right out of the opening, spends 28 minutes to take this pawn. Because he understands it's the best move, but he doesn't want to fall deep into the preparation of Gukesh. The crazy thing is, this position has never been reached. This position has been reached like, I don't know, several hundreds of times. But in many ways, this setup, where the knight is not the one defending the pawn, and instead it's the rook, honestly, visually to me, makes a lot of sense. because now this knight is free to go venture to take back the pawn another way. It's a very, very fascinating discrepancy. However, black is fine. I mean, otherwise everybody would be playing this. So Ding develops with bishop g4, and yet he's not committing this. And Gukesh shows you his preparation. This is Gukesh's prep. It's a very, very combative and a very dynamic and very imbalanced game that we found ourselves in. Knight c4 is just the move that he wants to play, as well as h3 at some point, just securing the pawn, okay? So, yeah. Now we have a very tense moment. The tense moment here is the fact that b5 is definitely the best move. And Ding doesn't really want to play it because he doesn't want to play into the preparation of Gukesh. So what else can he do, right? If he plays b5, Gukesh has probably studied the entire sequence. So what do? Well, you spend some time and you play c5. He deliberately plays a move which he feels is not necessarily best. I don't know if he did this on purpose or if he truly thought the move c5 was the best move. But in chess, when you know your opponent has come prepared, even if you know that practically speaking, creating this blockade is correct, you are anxious about how much your opponent has memorized. If the opponent has memorized 10 different lines here, it could get very dangerous for you. So instead of that, he plays c5, and Gukesh immediately starts thinking. c5 immediately puts pressure on the pawn. If you take on c5, black actually plays this move, opening the bishop and trying to take back on c5 and maybe land on d3. So it's a very nice idea. It forces Gukesh forward and to spend 7 minutes of his time, and then to get rid of the light squared bishop with h3. He also could have just played knight c4, pawn takes d5, pawn takes d5. There is actually a sequence here where white ends up a pawn down, but has a very powerful initiative on this diagonal. But Gukesh plays h3, bishop f3, and out of the opening gets to this position. Now, he's got a 40-minute time advantage. He has the pair of bishops. He has the passed d-pawn. All right? Like this. So, everything is pointing to the fact that Gukesh has got a great little thing going on here. All right? But Ding fights back. b5. Best move. Active counterplay, not allowing white a moment of peace. The knight drops back to the a3 square, and Ding secures it with his queen. Ding is playing great. And if you give Ding a couple more moves, he's going to bring rooks to the middle. I mean, in a dream scenario, a knight lands on the d3 square. This knight wraps around somewhere, and the position's got plenty of dynamics in it. Black is slightly worse because white has the bishop pair, and also white's got a very powerful central pawn. And just in general, like, white's pieces are a little bit more active. But Ding's playing very well. He's just playing very, very, very slowly. And after he plays rook e8, he is down 55 minutes on the clock. It is 16 moves each. Friendly reminder that they have to make 40 moves in 2 hours. So he has 42 minutes to make 24 moves. 42, 24. That's not a lot of time. In a position like this, it is not a lot of time. Gukesh plays queen d2, just a general improving move, and now starts bringing his knight back from the edge of the board. Everything makes sense so far, and probably he's going to play b4, a4, target that side of the board over there. Knight f8. Curious here what Gukesh spent so much time on. Maybe he was looking to trade some rooks. Also could have just general improving moves and maybe didn't want to touch the knight. Could have had ideas like b4, etc. But he plays knight c2, and now b4 and c4. This is a very nice pawn maneuver, striking at the position, forcing Ding to make some sort of concession. He does concede. He concedes the dark squares, and Gukesh repositions the bishop to e3 and to d4. Gukesh has played a fantastic game. Thus far, he's got Ding up against the corner, and he is landing punches. They're not doing fatal amounts of damage, but he's hitting the body, he's hitting the ribs, he's hitting to the head, and he's the one who's winning on the judges' scorecards equivalent, all right? If this was a boxing match. But Ding is fighting. Rook takes e1, but Ding, 17 minutes to now make 19 more moves. Ding has 17 minutes to make 19 more moves and no bonus time. And so what does Ding do here? He goes, look, I mean, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. If I keep playing slow defense, I'm going to run out of time, and Gukesh is going to apply pressure. I'm gambling. I'm gambling. Queen takes a2. I need to at least have something in my pocket to make Gukesh think about. Leverage, collateral. I have an extra pawn. Gukesh immediately goes to target the queen. Now in this position, a move that gives back the pawn is pawn to c3, and it looks like the queen is trapped, but it can escape to the c4 square. And on top of that, if the queen takes, there is knight takes d5. So bishop c3, the queen gets out, but also, right, queen c3, knight d5. But Ding under pressure blunders. He plays queen b3. Now it's not very obvious why this move is even a mistake by Black. Like what's such a big deal? On a high depth, this position is evaluated as plus 2.5 for White. This stockfish doesn't even realize how bad the position is. It's not powerful enough. It doesn't have enough computing power. Gukesh now has a moment, a big moment, 43 to 15. Gukesh, 15 minutes, 16, I guess, to make 15 more moves. White is much better, despite being a pawn down, because Black's knight is totally out of the game. These pieces are kind of pushed back, and these pawns are very weak. The only thing that Black has here is dynamics in his favor. The queen can maybe dance in when there's a moment, a pawn sacrifice, knight takes d5. Black's got tricky little dynamics to potentially get back into the game, but Gukesh plays rook a5, which is the move of the engine. When he has gotten a chance in this match, in that other game he had with White with d4, he took it. That's what Magnus has said about him. He's like, when the chance is there, he will take it. Ding is on the ropes. But the only problem is Gukesh spent 20 minutes to find this move, and now the time situation is actually relatively close. This is move 26. I would show it to you, but the move counter keeps shifting, and it's impossible to do that. I'm going to tell you verbally what move it is. This is White's 26th move. Now, Ding plays queen b3. It's the best he can do. And now Gukesh can take the pawn on b5. But he repeats the position. No. No, is it going to happen again? No. Are they going to make a draw right on the verge of potentially getting an interest? No, they don't. Gukesh repeated moves. I'm going to tell you why. This was very smart. Gukesh repeated moves because he's raising the move counter. They need to get to the 40th move of the game to get the bonus time. This is a little hack. You repeat the position twice. Now suddenly, the last time you played rook a5, it was move 26, and now it's move 28. So the boys have a little bit less time. Rook takes b5, and Ding makes the big mistake. I mean, he was under a lot of time pressure. The mistake was there to be made. Gukesh is now almost winning. But can he find it? He plays the second move of the computer. Very well could be practically the best move. The best move here by White. This move is trying to scramble things. It's trying to mess up with the recon, right? Like now the bishop's not going to have a defender. The knight's going to move somewhere. D2 comes in. Like all of a sudden, how does that happen? Like what's going on there? But Gukesh plays queen f4, which is given a miss. The winning move in this position is the absolutely cold-blooded bishop e3. This is such a gangster move. The point of this move is Black doesn't have a move now. You defend the queen. If the queen gets taken, White can't take this pawn ever. White doesn't even have a move, really. Like if White goes here, you go rook c5, and this is a completely winning endgame because you have two connected passed pawns. If you play a move like h6, White plays knight a3 and simply picks this pawn up. And if you play bishop e3 and Black doesn't take your queen, like let's say Black gets out of the position, now you bring your knight forward, you get the queen to the c file, you take the c4 pawn, and White is winning. Like bishop e3, if Gukesh plays, he probably wins this game within 7 to 10 moves, like gets a totally winning position and then converts it. Bishop e3 is very, very cold-blooded. It keeps everything in the balance. Black, of course, cannot take this because this is defended twice. So bishop e3 is the move. Gukesh spend some time, plays queen f4. It's not the best move, but it is the second best move, so the pressure is still on. Now, the engine here was spitting out absurd lines. You know, the threat is on the knight. The engine is saying, sack the pawn, okay, and then go here. And the point is, white can't go back here because suddenly black goes here. So the move g5 is like kicking out the, like a window, like breaking a window so that the knight can actually, come out, jump out like one of those, like a Bond movie, and then start fighting. So g5 is the money move here. Ding now spends nearly 50% of his remaining time. He has 14 minutes and 52 seconds to make 11 more moves. He goes queen takes c2 with 7:58 to go for 10 moves. Gukesh takes the knight. And now Ding plays queen f5. And for the second time, the best move for white is a backwards retreating move to save the trade for an advantageous manner. So twice now, Gukesh has to play a backwards diagonal dark squared bishop move to defend his queen. Bishop g5, again, the best move. Gukesh is a practical dude. He's like, the pawn structure is terrible if I do this. And now for a third time, Gukesh has to play bishop g5. This is a lot harder now. I mean, I don't know how human this is, but that's the move. Instead, Gukesh is like, I must be winning in this endgame. I must be winning. I'm not up a pawn anymore, but I go rook c5, and he can't stop me from protecting his pawn. I mean, I have to be winning. I refuse to believe I'm not winning. I have a passed pawn. I have a bishop versus knight. I have a better pawn structure because black's pawn structure is worse than mine, and I'm going to be a pawn up. I have to be winning. From a human standpoint, if we remove the eval bar, yeah, most of us would probably not be able to hold this position with black. But Gukesh is going to go back and analyze, and this really was a moment. After bishop e3, there are almost no more tricks. Almost none. I mean, I'm telling you, the engine tries to play knight back to e8. You know it's bad when you got to play like this, and you are just under monster pressure. Monster pressure. Gukesh will be kicking himself because now he has a very daunting task to win this endgame. And all of a sudden, Ding Liren, who only had 7 minutes remaining to make 7 moves, has pretty easy moves to play. Why? Because they're out of desperation. The knight enters the game. White has to take the extra pawn. The knight jumps to the middle, attacking the rook and the bishop. The rook centralizes, defending everything, and now the money move. The move that maybe Gukesh missed from a distance. Knight c6! He does a spinning back kick. And the point is, the rook is under attack, and so is the pawn. You cannot take it. Now, you say, okay, well, I don't understand. What if I just move the rook? Yes, but the knight dances again. Look at this 4-move combo. Here, 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 like a tornado. And all of a sudden, it's on the perfect square. Not only is it playing offense, it's playing defense. Unbelievable. A 4-move knight combination found by Ding Liren in under 30 seconds, by the way. This whole thing, he finds it immediately. And suddenly, Ding is completely back in the game. Not only is he back in the game, he's got 2 more moves to make in 4 minutes. He's going to be fine. Ding has saved it. Oh, Gukesh is going to be bummed. Fans of Gukesh, devastated. He didn't play bishop to d2. It was subtle, but the pressure was there. Gukesh goes here. There's hair in my mouth. Pawn to h6 played. And now, folks, Ding Liren has 3 minutes to save this game. Why do I say 3 minutes? Isn't the other song called 4 minutes? Got 4 minutes to save the world. That was like from my childhood. I don't even remember who made it. Was it Timbaland? I don't remember. Anyway, I'm always scared to like reference things from 15 years ago because I don't know who like did something terrible in their career and then like nobody likes anymore. I'm very scared. I don't know. King f1 is the move chosen by Gukesh, and Ding has 3 minutes. And he either can attack this pawn right away, or he can finish the journey of the horse, put the knight on d6, and take a deep breath. Tick, tock, tick, tock. Ding goes down to 10 seconds to make this decision. 10, 9, 8. He chooses wrong. With 7 seconds on his clock, with his time, he got 30 more minutes. Right? He got the bonus time and he got the 30 more minutes. He chooses the losing move. If Ding had finished the journey of the knight, here, 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 and then knight c, it's a very instructive move. All that happens here is black is down a pawn, but has a blockade on the opposite color of the bishop. This is very instructive. Opposite color blockade, especially knight versus bishop endgames, and black has created a fortress. It is impossible to break through. It looks like white can indefinitely improve, but the pawn is hanging. Let's not forget that. So because of that, white has to play defense, and black will start walking in with the king and also just attack. The knight needed to go to d6. I think Ding Liren, like 9 times out of 10, that rhymed, plays knight c8, knight d6. Only in a world championship match, you play king e5, and all of a sudden Gukesh is winning again. Unfathomable. Unbelievable. Incredible. Incredulous. Sensational. Spectacular. Jaw-dropping. Ding collects the pawn, Gukesh takes on h6, and white is simply winning. Not simply, but much simpler than it once was. And the point is that black rushed. The point of black's position was not to take the pawn. The point of black's position was to sit and wait. Very tough to do when your time is ticking. And now Gukesh is winning. And Ding actually plays knight c3, which allows the amazing rook c6. Knight c3 was intended to attack the pawn here, but rook c6 is a very cold shower. Ding centralizing the knight, very instructive. And now, the way white plays this position, I never said simply, but you have to start moving the pawn. The king will always protect the bishop in any fork. If black plays rook d2, at the right moment you do this, and the pawn goes. The pawn goes. The pawn will get here and be a permanent nuisance for black, at which point white will play rook c7, collect the pawns, and win the game. Or rook a6. h4 is the move. h4, and then there is some more work to be done. And if you thought the plot twists were finished, they're not. Gukesh in this position plays king e1. King e1. I mean, it's a reasonable move. It makes some sense for sure. But h4, it's now a step closer. It's a major improvement of the white position. And without touching anything else, you basically indicate to your opponent, this is kind of like a one-track mind. This is your plan. But Gukesh, whether it's nerves or something else, miscalculation, plays king e1. And now Ding spends 22 out of his 26 remaining minutes. You cannot script this stuff. He thinks here, he's only got 26 minutes left. Yes, he has bonus time because it's past the 40th move. If the time control is confusing and a lot to follow, I apologize. It's the chess world. We like to make things extremely confusing. We like to have a really steep learning curve, not just for how to play the game, but for how to follow any of our events. Like a bunch of you probably didn't even know this world championship was going on until the first recap was made. So, whatever, but that's just a rant for another day about the fact that chess has a perpetual problem with marketing itself in any presentable fashion. Anyway, king to e1, the time control, they have 30 seconds bonus, but Ding spends 22 out of remaining 26 minutes, and he doesn't find the correct idea. But it's a very, very, very difficult idea. I was watching Daniel Naroditsky and Peter Lecko. Fantastic, dynamic commentary team. Daniel Naroditsky, probably the best chess commentator in the game. Peter Lecko, also up there. I mean, we all have our preferences, but that was just this. Judith Polgar, Robert Hess, also excellent. The sequence here is rook d5. And basically, black now, using piece activity, offsets the fact that white is up a pawn and also has a very dangerous pass pawn. Bishop to e2. And there are all sorts of ideas here where counterplay can be created. For example, the boys were analyzing pawn to f4, pawn takes, king takes, rook a6, knight c3, trying to set up direct attacks on this bishop. And then there's another amazing sequence where black plays f5, chucks the pawn, and plays knight c3. And then there's a line b6, rook e5, king d2. If you take, there's b7, knight e4 check, king c2, rook c5, king b2, rook c6, b7, rook b6, king here, and the pawn is stopped. Like, there's all these lines where white is temporarily up 2 pawns and yet is still not winning the endgame. It's very complicated. f6, h4. Now Gukesh is back in the driver's seat, but we have rook to d3. And still Gukesh can ask some questions. There are questions still remaining. But you will notice that black has activated all of his resources. Everything. He's got everything. He's trying to create counterplay. And the final mistake of the day. And you could tell there was something nervy about it. Because in this position, Gukesh touched his bishop. Put it on d1. And then put it back. You never see that unless there is a degree. I believe that's what happened. Right, I was watching the live stream and there was kind of a moment there where he had hesitation. Like, does he go to e2 to d1, king e2? You know, you can play bishop e2. But the point is that, you know, black is going to wrap around with the rook to the b3 square. If these pawns fall off the board, it's just going to come down to all the counterplay. One more thing to remember, folks, is at the end of the day, if the knight needs to give itself up for the pawn, rook and bishop versus rook, no pawns is a draw. It is a draw. It's crazy, but it's a draw. And rook and knight versus rook is even more of a draw. Theoretical endgames are very important to know at this level. Gukesh plays bishop d1 and he blunders. He blunders something really, I think this is what he blundered. Pawn to f4. But it was not just pawn to f4. It was that after bishop c2, there is fg3, a haymaker from above. And after this, there's g2. And the pawn is sneaking through. The crazy thing is this is not even losing. You have f4 check, king f4, rook f6, knight f6, and king f2. But black is saving the day. And suddenly, Ding has activated all of his pieces. Not only has he activated his pieces, he's actually walking the king into the white. I mean, this is. What are we even? Look at this. I mean, look at this. Look at this. Look at this king. He walked down the entire length of the kingdom. No pun intended. Rook b3. Rook e5 attacking the white king. White tries to create counterplay. Rook back to e7. Gukesh is still up a pawn, but his own king is the problem. It has been the problem this entire endgame. Rook e3. Rook h7. Gukesh now is playing moves with 10 seconds on the clock. You look at Gukesh, he has 40 seconds. That's because he's gaining 30 seconds every time he makes a move. But it is Ding Liren who is creating all the counterplay. Rook b7. King f3, and ultimately, he just chases down this pawn. Knight f7. The players make a few more moves, and here we go. The game ends in a draw. Unbelievable! This endgame was +5. At a high depth, the engine in this position said if Gukesh plays h4, it is like +5. The game is lost. Because it's really hard for black to create counterplay. Rook d5 is probably what he would have played. Then there is rook c7, and the king is never out here. So black is not fast enough with counterplay. He's just not fast enough. You have to play h4. It's like I was saying, king e1 allows rook d5, rook c7, rook b5, because if you know, the king is under attack. But if you leave your king at home, if you leave your king on f1 and play h4, rook d5, rook c7, rook b5, rook, it doesn't even matter what you take. Probably f7 is better. When there's this check, the king is safe. Gukesh walked his king into danger, and the king lost white the game. Lost white the advantage. Almost feels like a loss because it was taken from you like this. Unbelievable. There was logic to this move, but h4 kept the king safe. I'm really scared to talk to Magnus Carlsen about the move h4 king e1. Like, I'm very afraid. I'm very afraid of what he's going to say. But a missed chance, a classic game, 72 moves, and it's 3.5. And folks, I'm going to say, listen, I know we have a lot of Indian fans that watch these videos. Guys, I'm going to say this is, if this is a good sign for anybody, it's only a good sign for Ding Liren. And I said, the more games they draw, the closer it gets to the rapid looming, Ding becomes more and more the favorite. Like, the match gets closer and closer. Gukesh, if he won this game, becomes world champion. I don't think he ever lets the lead go. But now it's an open season. It's 50-50. It's game on. I'm going to end the recap by doing product placement. Gotham chessboard in Walmart. Get it for somebody for the holidays. Chessly 2.0 is on the way. You know, I've been talking about it a lot. Super excited. See you all for game number 8. This world championship is absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Epic fight by both of them. Sensational defensive resilience from Ding. Gukesh will be kicking himself. Hopefully not actually. But he had big moments there, and he shows excellent pressure with white. And my birthday's in 2 days. Get out of here.